Hi, in this video we're going to look at the target browser. We can find the target browser here on the reporting tab. We'll go to the target browser tool. What it's going to bring up here is a visual representation of everything that a student is supposed to cover in their entire learning career. These are the standards. Here we've selected language arts, but we could select different content areas if we wanted to. And each district may have different scope and sequence. They'll have different content here, and each district has the autonomy to make this themselves using the standards editor, which we cover in a different video. But basically what we're seeing here is an example for this school. Each of these tiles represents one of the standards, one of the chunks of learning that we're expecting students to cover. And if I mouse over this, I can see a description of what it is. The titles on the tile would represent the title of the standard, and here they've used codes, but a lot of districts choose to use letters, words instead. These are organized into strands. You see the rows there. Those are the topics. So the idea here is that as a student grows in, for example, the top one there, reading foundation, age-appropriate reading, that as they go through their years of school, notice the color codes here, they grow in that skill in a sequence. And so these skills build on one another. The colors here represent the developmental levels, that is, more or less when is the student expected to learn this. And this helps to give us a picture of where we should expect learners to be. For example, I look at my target browser here, and you can see that I've selected not only language arts, but I've also selected my first period ELA class up there, and I could pick a different class if I wanted to. But what Empower does is it overlays the student's progress right on top of the target browser. So I can see at a glance, even if I've never met these students before, Empower takes the data that they have in their system, perhaps from last year or from a different teacher, and I could see that 4 of my students have mastered this standard, 5 of them are working on it presently, looks like they've all begun it. These are based on their summative scores from the standards gradebook. And some of the neat things that we can do here, for example, is notice where our students have need. So here's a place where only half of the students have need. I could click into this and get a picture of who are these students who have this need. I get to go to the True Score Estimator tool. Basically, this is a zoomed in version of this information. And who are the students who have not mastered this? Well, I'm just going to filter out mastered. And here they are. Here are the students who have not mastered this and who I might want to continue to work with this standard on. Here's another interesting one. These are supposed to be 11th graders. And here I've got a student who hasn't mastered some old 5th grade standard. So, of course, that student's going to struggle if we're supposed to be learning up here. They don't have some of the foundational learning. So it's an opportunity for me to guarantee learning for these students and be able to go back there and make sure that there are no gaps in their learning that are hindering them from the material that we're covering now. There's more information inside of these tiles as well. So if I click on the little icon here, it's going to open up the file cabinet. And the first thing that we're presented with is the scoring guide. This is very important because this gives us rubric level descriptions for every level of learning if the district has entered them. So we're seeing a 2 and a 3. That doesn't mean that there might not be a 1 or a 4 or even 0.5s possible here, but these are the only levels that the district has described. And what they've done is they've said, well, what does it mean to merit a 2? What does a student need to know and do? And we can read that description here. And what does it mean to get a 3? Here's that description. We're going to keep these descriptions at our fingertips all the time throughout the system. Whenever we're scoring, Empower is going to present us with these to remind us, if we've just read an essay and we're about to give a score on it, it's going to present us with these descriptions so that we can have a very homogeneous expectation district-wide. Learners can see this, teachers can see this, parents can see this. What is the learning expectation? How can I progress to the next level? A couple other things while we're here. Details. So this might have things like how does it align to national standards, etc. Resources would be anything that my colleagues have created and shared in the Empower database that align to this. Playlists, activities, quizzes, and things. So I could come here maybe with that student who's missing a piece of learning, I could come here, find an activity that is appropriate, and assign it out to that learner. And then checklists, there are none here, it looks like, but this would be an opportunity for granular pieces of learning. Vocabulary, for example, high frequency words, and as students learn these, demonstrate mastery of these granular pieces, I could check off maybe which words they know and which ones they still need to focus on. And again, this is visible to parents, so parents could pick up with the students really down to the letter, up to the minute, exactly where the student is at and what they need to learn. We can keyword search here, so I don't have to mouse over and try to find things. You know, we've got things like keyword searches, and it would just pull the things that are standards that relate to that keyword. I've also got here options for things like courses. So if the district has aligned standards into courses, I could say, well, what does it take? What are the course requirements for English 11? And again, these are created by each district, so yours may be a little different. But here, it's these 8 standards that are supposed to be covered, and here's how my students are doing in this. So there's this filter here provides a way to quickly find the information that we're looking for to filter this down. Additionally, you saw that I could filter out certain grade developmental levels if I wanted to, so I could only see the things that are really pertinent to my learners. And that's the target browser. This is a very important tool. This is really the foundation. I always begin here in our learning of Empower, because what we're going to do coming up when we make grade books, when we make activities, we're going to come back to the target browser over and over, because in a standards-based system, all of those things are made of standards. These are really the building blocks, the Legos that we're going to use to build those things. When I make an activity, I align it to one or more standards so that I can monitor student progress there. When I make a grade book, I'm telling Empower which of these things do I want to see on my interface when I'm working with scores, which of these matter to me, because if I'm teaching 11th grade language arts, it doesn't matter to me what's happening in 2nd grade math. And the target browser is the tool we're going to use to explore these and select for all those different things that we're going to build the standards that we're working with.